call this meeting of the Board of Directors of Sandy Pines Wilderness Trails to order. Our first order of business is the invocation. Craig?
If you would pray with me. Father God, today as we come together to do the work of the board, we lift up each member here and the members in the park, those that are still here in Michigan and far away. Lord, as we do the work here in the park, we ask you to bless our time, Father, to stay focused on what we are intended to do here, but much more beyond that, to remember what time of season we're in, and to remember the birth of your Son, our Savior, not to lose sight of that as we do our work and as we move forward in our daily lives. Father, as I said, please bless our time together, and we give you praise in Jesus' mighty name. Amen.
Amen.
We will stand for the pledge. I pledge
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Kimberly, could you do the roll call, please?
Sure. Alan Carpenter,
Here.
Rick Day,
Here.
Bob Deckinga, Pat Dosma,
Here.
Kelly Johnson,
Here.
Paul Pepple,
Here.
Stephanie Sufania. Here. Scott Wyman.
Here.
And Craig Van Beek.
Here.
8 present. 1 absent.
At this time, we will do an approval of the new park members. Jeff, could you give us some of the demographic information for the new members for October and November of 2023?
Absolutely, I'd love to. So we have the sales split out during September, October, November. We had 19 total sales in September. 10 were through the for sale by owner process and 9 were through our sales department. October sales had 21 total sales, 6 through the for sale by owner process, 9 through our sales department, and 6 through the transfer process. And then November had 7 total sales, 1 through the for sale by owner, and 6 through the sales department process. Demographics, we had 78 brand new members welcoming into the park. The breakdown are 11 members in their 30s, 22 members in their 40s, 23 members in their 50s, 20 members in their 60s, and 2 members in their 70s.
I want to remind the board members that we agreed to identify ourselves as we make motions and second motions, so that it'll be a little easier to do the minutes. At this time, I will accept a motion for approval of new park members for October and November of 2023.
So moved, Kelly. Supported, Day.
All those in favor of the motion, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Our next item on the agenda is the approval of the September 2023 Board of Directors meeting minutes as presented to us. Are there any corrections or changes that need to be made?
Dave makes a motion to approve as presented.
Joseph will second. All those in favor of the motion, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion carries. The next item on our agenda is the discussion and approval of the September and October 2023 Sandy Pines Wilderness Trails financial statements, followed by the Lake Monterey Golf Course statements. Rick, is the treasurer, do you have any comments to make before Kimberly makes her presentation?
Well, I would just comment that the finance committee did meet on Monday and review everything. There was a couple minor adjustments, and they approved everything and presented it to the board.
Okay, thank you. Kimberly, could you give us some information on the September and October 2023 Sandy Pines Wilderness Trails financial statements.
Sure. For September 2023, it's our fiscal year end for the 2023 season. Our days cash in reserve is at 223 days. However, I want to note that after the transfer of the 1.5 million for the approved capital pool project, the days in reserve will drop down to about 147. So it's still within that 90 to 180 day recommended range for the days cash in reserve. The asset replacement cash is at 110,000 going into the new fiscal year before the addition that we will have in fiscal year 2024. There will be an additional 940,000 added into that for the upcoming projects. The Charles Schwab investment account is back up 15,000 from prior year, which is good to see. Member accounts receivable is reasonable for the 9/30 end of year. It's a little bit higher than prior year, but reasonable. The golf course note payable, you will notice was paid down 100,000 and has a current balance of 380,825. And that was the payment. You'll see that on the golf course side as well. The total value of assets that were capitalized in fiscal 2023 equaled $706,394.78. The larger projects within that total included the Phase 3 lake well pump, the Phase 5 road resurfacing, Phase 3 tennis court, replacement of the underground gas pump to the above ground gas pump, which is in service currently and being used by our employees. Continued enhancement features in the development of the Dynamics 365 site, replacement of a security vehicle as part of our rotating phase-out plan for vehicles, a mower for maintenance, a generator for the water park, renovation to the retail center, which did include the replacement of a wall unit walk-in cooler, the train station and maintenance storage barn as directed from a recent review that was completed by the fire marshal, a rebuild of the Phase 3 security building, replacement of the water park floor, which we had noted had significant damage at the end of last fiscal year, and then other minor capital improvements that were required as part of our annual updates. Then in addition, going on, the fiscal year 2023 showed a net loss for Sandy Pines equaling $2,012 for the year. So very close to our zero break-even goal for the year. Administration did have a decent year overall without many significant changes. Maintenance had a successful year with a net loss under the budget that was set, showing an overall savings of $25,000. You will notice a timing difference, however, within the maintenance income, which relates to the recording of winterizations. And this is due to better tracking of the revenue recognition in the system, based on those that are completed prior to October 15 and those that are after October 15. So this will ensure a better selection of matched revenue posting. And we worked with the accountants through this as well. And this will true itself up in the next fiscal year. So I just wanted to note that. Public safety overall had a successful year with a net loss under their budget and a savings of $38,000. Recreation had a very good year and stuck close to the budget with many activities they hosted. And they had an overall net income savings of $19,000 for the year. Resort services showed an impacted change with the 8.6 increase to dues from the prior year, which is, I want to know, is one of the highest increases that we've had to COLA, but also was impactful in helping to offset the increases in inflation costs that we recognized across the park. These operations included activities from the hair salon, the ice cream shop, and the new B-Boss massage lease. Park and Garden had a great year, especially with the newest activity with the retail store and cafe operations. So we'll kind of be watching that into the next season as well. Golf cart revenue operations was successful with a margin of $20,000 over budget. The retail center operations did have a slower year with the hold of the gas pump through the season, but we will be looking forward to the opening of that next season now that the gas pump is installed. And last, the sales operations had a great year with a significant increase in sales through the park and an offset increase in their commission income. Site rental was slightly lower, but along with seasonal sales was reasonable to budget. And overall, the sales and hospitality operations was $115,000 over budget for the fiscal year. And that concludes the review for all of fiscal year 2023.
Do any of the board members have questions or comments on the September and October 2023 Sandy Pines Wilderness Trails financial statements? Hearing none, I will accept a motion to approve.
Johnson, approved.
Savannah, supported.
All those in favor of the motion, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Kimberly, could you give us an update on the September and through October 2023 Lake Monterey Golf Course financial statements, please?
Sure. Lake Monterey Golf Course for the fiscal year 2023, operations cash had an increase of $72,000 for the fiscal year. Accounts receivable, you will notice is down. It's the account receivables with, from the Sandy Pines memberships. That was paid down through the year with the payment from Sandy Pines, so you'll notice that that did decrease, which offset the increase in the cash balance. The asset reserve account for the golf course did have a year-end balance of $20,156, and that will have an additional $54,075 added in the next season. The total value of assets that was capitalized in 2023 equaled $41,280. The two projects that were included in that was the rebuild of the bridge at T number 13 and the purchase of a stump grinder through the season. We did have a payment of $100,000 on the note payable, as I mentioned in my review of Sandy Pines, so you'll see that offset in the financial statements for Lake Monterey. And then total net income was up $10,000 for the year. And this was offset, the significant impacts of that are major increases across the board within the green fees and the clubhouse sales, which included the food sales, beer and wine, and merchandising sales. We did notice that member green fees were significantly higher. We're hopeful that with some of the town halls, members got out there, got to see and take advantage of those, of what the golf course has to offer. So it was good to see that that was up by almost $20,000 from prior year. And then our pull cart and club rentals were also up about $10,000 from prior year. Our expenses, the offset of the expenses was increased from prior year. A little bit of that I talked about during the season. We did have an overlap in management with the directors and the training and offset of one retiring and a new director coming in. And then there were increased fees to the repair and maintenance of some equipment items. So it was more beneficial to repair those than to replace them, so you'll notice some increased costs there. And then also repair and maintenance, and then also fertilizer costs. You'll notice an increase in that as well because costs of fertilizer went up across the board. And that concludes my review for Lake Monterey.
Do any of the board members have questions or comments on the September and October 2023 Lake Monterey Golf Course financial statements? Hearing none, I'll accept a motion to approve.
Dusenma, motion to approve.
Day support.
All those in favor of the motion, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion carries. The next item on our agenda are comments from myself and then from Jeff. I want to thank the crowd for coming today. We do appreciate people that take the time out of their schedule and come and listen, and because it's very important for people to have the correct information, and the best way to get that information is to come to a meeting, to read the footprints, and to read the official social media accounts and any emails and texts that you get. I want to wish all of the members and staff a safe and blessed Christmas with your family, and we look forward to next year. Joe?
Amen to that. So, again, members that took the time out, thank you. The members that will go online and look at this, thank you for taking the time and being involved and engaged and active. As Ellen stated, I'd also like to wish everybody a safe and blessed Merry Christmas, Happy New Year. That's to our members, our staff, and the board of directors as well. Very supportive by the board here, and we appreciate that. We've had a great 2023 season. Just something that we've done as a staff through Thanksgiving and Christmas for the last couple of years, and it's really taken off. It's been a really good thing. Is during this time, this is celebrating Christmas, birth of Jesus Christ, and taking that spirit and moving it out to people that are less fortunate. So take a look at if you can sponsor a family or a person that may be in need. Our staff has done that the last 3 years, and I think we had 5 families for Thanksgiving, and we're getting some funds out there for some families this Christmas that are less fortunate. So if you're blessed, just pass it on, pay it forward, and we just pray for everybody to have a safe holiday. Looking forward to 2024.
Thank you. Jeff, under old business, could you give us some Lake Town Hall follow-ups, please?
Absolutely. For those of you that may or may not have attended the Lake Town Hall in September, we pulled the membership together. I think it was one of the largest town halls that we've had, and really good interaction with the members. So coming out of that, we kind of explained where we were at with some of our projects getting stalled, and we took some feedback from members as to what their thoughts were as what we should focus in on the lake here at Sandy Pines coming up in 2024. So some of the things that came out of that and talking to individuals, our shoreline is cluttered. It's not only getting eroded, but it's cluttered with stuff that really shouldn't be in the green area on the shoreline. We've had a ton of issues with boat stakes. Where are we at with the projects that we've been talking about? Riprap, the dam project, that's DAM project, and enforcing the rules on the lake. So this off season, we've actually put that at the top of our list to focus on some things. So if you've read the footprints, we have started in phase 6, and Sailboat Cove is, I think, complete today, and we're going along phase 5 and over towards the North Shore. But members, when they come back, they're going to see galvanized steel fence posts as boat stake locators. Those are not boat stakes, those are locators, and we will have tags on each one of those. We're not going to get into, hey, my boat stake should be over here 10 feet or over here 10 feet. We've GPS located them. They're at the high water mark. We've had lake committee volunteers help out, park inspector. So all of phase 6 is complete. There'll be rubber caps on the top of those steel posts so there's no injuries, and it's not a safety hazard. Again, that was a huge focus, at least from an operational standpoint and administration standpoint. Boat stakes were a challenge and always has been a challenge. So we're taking the argument out of where this is located. So those are going to be locators. There are some areas that we're going to need to address. Are we going to get all that done this off season? Probably not. There are some areas that I know in phase 5, you have your backyard or your waterfront, and then poof, you drop right off into the lake area. So where does that green area stop? How do we address that? We're still working on that. But that's been a lot of a lot of work for the park inspector and some volunteers. Shoreline audit, so we had public safety park inspector walk the shoreline for 2 weeks in October. They have sent out over 90 emails in November and through December here that there are storage boxes, toys, inflatables. We still have kayaks, we still have paddle boats that are just flipped over on the shore in the green space. We are giving a due date for members to remove that to avoid any fines. These are warnings, but that needs to get cleaned up. Again, our rules state that you can't store any of that on the beach or the green area without park approval. And park has approved a couple of things, so this has really been good for us and the members because we've received a ton of feedback if you send out 90 plus emails. Hey, what about, I put string out there and I put some things out there to avoid, to help the geese, get rid of the geese. What about my boat docks? What about things? Those have all been approved. We've made mass communications. If you have a goose problem, geese problem, you want to string up some things out there to avoid having them land in your area, that's fine. The docks were approved in September when we had to go through the Eagle permit process. Those can get pushed up as far to your site as possible, but there are still a ton of items out there that need to get cleaned up. So with public safety and the park inspector, we've done that. We've gone through our files and done boat registration audits. We found members that have 2 boats that don't meet the rules or the dates to allow you to have 2 boats. So you have to pick 1 boat, drop it in the lake. The other one can't come in. We've seen registrations that were outdated last season with multiple communications to get it updated. So they've not only lost they can put their boat in, but if it's tied to a boat stake, they've lost their boat stake. We've done boat stake audits. So we put a huge focus on a lot of this lake shore stuff and the shoreline and anything that attaches to Lake Monterey. We've heard the comments, we've heard the concerns, and we're making it a priority. I think that's the highlights from what the enforcement of some of the rules. We will have some additional training in January with our PSO. Patty is our #1 PSO that's out on the lake. We're looking at training another individual because our Patty, poor Patty, she's doing a great job, but she can't be out there 24/7. So she's gonna have a backup. So that's the enforcement part of it. Projects. So we were asked, hey, where are you at with the projects? So we had a workshop with the board in October. We've identified some of the projects. We do have quotes from contractors on the point over by the chapel, phase 2 point over there. We're gonna select a contractor here this month and kick that contractor off, and there'll be work done in the right behind the chapel on that point where you see trees falling down. That's gonna get addressed. The plan is to get that taken care of by mid-April. So the plan is to start in March, get it done by mid-April, weather depending. Same with phase 2 point. We do have contractor bids and quotes for the dam project. That project originally started out as about a $50,000 project based on feedback from our contacts at Eagle and things of that nature that they're looking for to sign off on the permit. It's grown to over $200,000. So, with that being said, we have Steve DeArmond, who does a great job with grant writing. He's working with Eagle to try and get some grant money to help fund that project. So that one hasn't been solidified yet. We're waiting for, we're hoping to get feedback from Eagle yet this month, and then we'll determine what needs to be done with the dam. if a contractor or project gets kicked off for the dam, that won't happen until fall next year. We're not gonna do a major project there during the season with all the traffic. So we've heard the membership and we're making headways. So that's my summary on the Lake Town Hall stuff.
Our first item under new business regards some changes we've been discussing on site cleanup. Kelly's the liaison with the Rules Committee. Could you give us a little information about what they're discussing?
Yeah, the committee worked all year on looking at changing some of the language in the site cleanup rules, thinking that it extends out too far. So as far as when you really have to have it done. The cutoff date, I think, is June 15th, is supposed to be done, but in essence, it's not working. So they came up with a recommendation that he submitted to the board. So now we'll take it this off-season, beginning of next year, and discuss it, and either approve it, modify it, or just table it. So they come up with some good recommendations.
Jeff, do you have any comments on site cleanup?
Just one additional one. You know, as Kelly stated, this has been reviewed multiple times with the Rules Committee. One thing that is lacking, I think that came out of the Rules Committee, is the boat stake areas, your dock areas, and the shoreline. So one thing that we have updated on the website is gonna be that checklist to start including the boat docks and boat stakes and the lakeshore green area to make certain that you don't have anything around your designated boat stake and dock area that has to meet the requirements, so.
Okay, our next item on the agenda, we actually have 3 resolutions that we're going to be discussing and voting on. The first one regards the height of boat stakes. Jeff, do you have any comments on this before I read it and we vote on it?
Yep, just real quick, currently, that boat locator, the galvanized steel pole that we talked about, that's an 8-foot steel pole, is driven 6 feet into the ground. It's not gonna, you can't remove that thing, so it's gonna stick up anywhere from 18 to 24 inches. Again, that's not your boat stake, but we have boat stakes that are gonna be right next to those. So we're adjusting the rule of the state. Again, coming out of Rules Committee, the 6 inches above the ground tends to be missed. It can be a tripping hazard for people walking on the shoreline. So this height is to adjust it to be the same height as those boat locators and avoid a tripping hazard.
Okay, I am going to read this resolution. The first part of the resolution will have the language, the old language from the rules, and then there will be some new language. And I know this is not the most exciting part of the meeting, and it's kind of boring to read, but it needs to be read into the record. Resolution number 120823A, resolution to amend Rule Book Handbook. Whereas the bylaws of Sandy Pines Wilderness Trails Incorporated, Article 8, Section 6E, gives the Board of Directors the power to adopt, amend, rescind, and repeal rules and regulations relating to the use of Sandy Pines property and the conduct of its members and their guests. Whereas Rules Section 13, Watercraft Regulations, subsection F, Watercraft Rules and Regulations 20, Boat Parking. Item G, boat stakes must be 4 inches by 4 inches, or 3 inches by 5 inches, treated lumber, and a maximum of 6 inches above the ground. Boat stakes may not be metal posts or stakes. Whereas the Board of Directors for the health, safety, and welfare of Sandy Pines believes it is in the best interest of Sandy Pines to amend and clarify the rules and regulations. Now therefore be it resolved that the Board of Directors of Sandy Pines Wilderness Trails Incorporated does hereby approve the following amendments and additions to the rules and regulations relating to Section 13, Watercraft Regulations, subsection F, Watercraft Rules and Regulations, item 20, boat parking, item G, currently located on page 34 of the Sandy Pines Rules, Regulations, and Bylaws Handbook, and this is the change. Item G, boat stakes must be 4 inches by 4 inches or 3 inches by 5 inches. Treated lumber and be a minimum of 18 inches and a maximum of 24 inches above the ground. Boat stakes may not be metal posts or stakes. Be it resolved that the Board of Directors of Sandy Pines Wilderness Trails Incorporated does hereby approve this resolution. Any questions or comments by board members? Okay, I'll entertain a motion.
Dave will move to accept the resolution as presented.
Johnson, second.
Kimberly, could you do the roll call vote, please?
Sure. Pat Osma,
Yes.
Kelly Johnson,
Yes.
Paul Pepple,
Yes.
Stephanie Stefania,
Yes.
Scott Wyman,
Yes.
Craig Van Beek,
Yes.
Ellen Carpenter,
Yes.
Rick Day,
Yes.
all approved.
The next item, the next resolution that we have to discuss and vote on is regarding permits for patios. Jeff, do you have some information you'd like to give about that?
Yes, so background on patios, at the end of the season, we take in contractor feedback, park inspector feedback, member feedback. And one of the items that is not currently on our permit list are patios. And what we've seen in the park is patios have started with the patio in the back, and then it's become a walkway, and then all of a sudden it's become a front patio, but wait, I have 2 SUVs parked on it. So I don't really have a front patio, I now have a paver driveway. And this is really to add it as a permit, make certain that the park inspector has reviewed the plans and the drawings, approved it. What is not on this resolution, nor does it need to be, but we've also taken a look at the permit for the application for permits. You will see if you go up to the website that we have updated that permit. We've added everything that includes a single permit, and the patios will be on there, and then everything that needs a double permit. So if you're doing electrical, you need a Sandy Pines permit and a county or township permit. So you'll have to select which ones, and then you have to provide a drawing, you have to provide a picture of the before and after, and you have to schedule a meeting with the park inspector to come out and sign off on it. This is to prevent what we call in other businesses, scope creep, where here's the plan, and then all of a sudden the plan has grown to a sidewalk, a parking lot, you know, things of that nature. So that permit has changed as well. So.
Okay, resolution number 120823B, resolution to amend Blue Book Handbook. Whereas the bylaws of Sandy Pines Wilderness Trails Incorporated, Article 8, Section 6E, gives the Board of Directors the power to adopt, amend, rescind, and repeal rules and regulations relating to the use of Sandy Pines property and the conduct of its members and their guests. Whereas rules permit Section 3, items requiring permits, subsection A through P, does not contain patios as a subsection, and Section V, Section 5, items not requiring permits, does contain patios as a subsection. Whereas the Board of Directors for the health, safety, and welfare of Sandy Pines believes it is in the best interest of Sandy Pines to amend and clarify the rules and regulations. Now therefore be it resolved that the Board of Directors of Sandy Pines Wilderness Trails Incorporated does hereby approve the following amendments and additions to the rules and regulations relating to permits, Section 3, items requiring permits, subsections A through B, and Section 5, item not requiring permits, currently located on pages 43 through 50 of the Sandy Pines Rules, Regulations, and Bylaws Handbook. Add to permit Section 3 items requiring a permit. Item Q, patios. A patio is a courtyard built directly on or in the ground that is often paved and adapted as a recreation area or for outdoor dining. The design and size of the patio is left to the member. 1, the patio may only be constructed of cement patio blocks or bricks. 2, no patios in green area unless approved by the park inspector. Remove items B, patios, from section 5, items not requiring permits. Be it resolved that the Board of Directors of Sandy Pines Wilderness Trails Incorporated does hereby approve the above resolution. Does anyone on the board have a comment or question? Hearing none, I'll accept a motion.
So moved, Van Beek.
Second.
Kim, could you do the roll call vote, please?
Yes. Paul Heffel,
Yes.
Stephanie Sapenia,
Yes.
Scott Wyman,
Yes.
Craig Manby,
Yes.
Ellen Carpenter,
Yes.
Rick Day,
Yes.
Pat Dosma,
Yes.
and Kelly Johnson.
Yes.
All approved.
The next resolution that we're going to read, discuss, and vote on is regarding transfer of funds for restaurant equipment. Jeff, could you give us some information, please?
Yes, so we have committed to the membership to get into actually the restaurant. We've reached out to multiple food trucks, independent owners to try and open up that restaurant. We thought we had somebody that was getting ready to sign a lease. It was looking really good, and they unfortunately backed out of it at the last minute. So we've committed to our members that, hey, listen, we're gonna get you a restaurant. Surveys, feedback has been, we want the breakfast, we want the lunches. It's been up in the air for, like dinners, things of that nature. It was nice to have donuts and coffee and things of that nature last year, but we need a place to hang out and gather and eat. So with that being said, we've made the commitment. We're gonna enact this article. It's under the 2.5% for the board to transfer some funds, and we're getting into the restaurant business. We're still looking for active lease options, but in order to get in front of health inspector and passing inspections and getting ready to open this thing up, we need to transfer some funds now and get the equipment on order, get it in there, and we've already got some headcount that has some restaurant experience on staff, and we'll get them trained. And so this is to get into the food business a little bit deeper into the Sandy Pines operations. So
Okay. Resolution number 120823C, resolution to authorize the purchase of personal property for Sandy Pines Wilderness Trails Incorporated. Whereas the bylaws of Sandy Pines Wilderness Trails Incorporated, Article 4, Section 2A2, gives the Board of Directors the power to transfer funds for the purchase of personal property. Whereas Article 4, Section 2A2 of the bylaws of Sandy Pines Wilderness Trails Incorporated provide, Section 2, sale and/or purchase of personal property. A, board approval required. The board is authorized to approve the sale and/or purchase of personal property in the following circumstances. 2, any expenditure that is not in the approved budget of Sandy Pines and is less than 2.5% of the Sandy Pines then current annual operating budget, so long as Sandy Pines has sufficient capital resources to acquire the personal property without taking on debt or granting a security interest in the personal property to be acquired. Whereas the board has determined that Sandy Pines has sufficient capital resources to acquire personal property without taking on debt or granting a security interest in the personal property to be acquired, The board has also determined the personal property, certain restaurant equipment, is not in the current approved budget. Now, therefore, be it resolved pursuant to this authority, the Board of Directors approves the expenditure of up to 2.5% of the Sandy Pines current annual operating budget for the purchase of certain personal property, that being restaurant equipment. Authorization and approval relating to Article 4, Section 2, A2 of the Sandy Pines Rules, Regulations, and Bylaws, currently located on pages 66 and 67 of the Sandy Pines Rules, Regulations, and Bylaws Handbook. Be it resolved that the Board of Directors of Sandy Pines Wilderness Trails Incorporated does hereby approve the above resolution. Any comments or questions from the board?
I'd just like to say that we've talked about this for a year since everything happened, and Kimberly has done a great job of showing us our finances and just making us feel comfortable with this decision, so thanks.
At this time, I will entertain a motion.
Johnson, so moved.
Buckle support.
Kimberly, could you please do the roll call vote?
Sure. Ellen Carpenter,
Yes.
Rick Day,
Yes.
Pat Osma,
Yes.
Kelly Johnson,
Yes.
Paul Pepper,
Yes.
Stephanie Seacon,
Yes.
Scott Wyman,
Yes.
and Craig Benby.
Yes.
All approved.
Okay. The almost last item on our agenda are member comments, and at this time, if any of you wonderful members that came have a comment, not a question, if you would stand and identify yourself and give us your lot number, we would love to hear from you.
Jim Kuiper. I appreciate the fact that you're identifying the places where we have stakes for the vote, because this is the third time I've been told to move it because it's been in the wrong place. Okay? So I really appreciate that. I just hope you give us the time to have a dock out now. Give me the time to get it back in, because I won't be around till April. And if it's April 1, I gotta have it in, I'm in trouble. So I just hope that you give us enough time to get the docks back in. Okay?
Thank you.
I'm Dan Coleman, and I'm from Lot 021 in Section 4. This is something that I've been floating, and I know you can't comment on it, and that's fine. I just learned today that you're in charge of the Rules Committee. And here's an option, and for those that are online, I'm more than happy to give you an electronic version. As you can see from the bottom of that report, it's something that I put together almost 2 years ago, and it's something that I've floated a couple times, and I would love for the board to be able to clarify how park entrances happen. And I'll let you know, I'm brand new. 3 years ago, we came here because we were doing a renovation in our house, and our son one of our sons is a youth pastor. So we said, hey, come on out, use the site for some leadership training for teens. So that's what we did. And we were here, so it was no problem having a member here. The next year, we said, great, Jake, use it, go for it. And then we were told, oh, but the member has to be present. And we're going, okay, the member already has been able to say, these are approved people, we are responsible for everything that happens anyways, it's in the rules. How are we going to clarify that? And then as I dove into the rules itself, I realized there's some contradictions, and there were some things, now I could take care of a grandchild, but my son couldn't take care of a nephew or niece. That would be a rule violation. And so want to be able to help with the management of that, because I, as the member, I'm responsible for anybody that comes on park property for anything that they do, whether it's at my lot at section 4021, or if it's over here at the ice cream shop, or if it's over in phase 3. Even though I might not be physically present with them. So I'm just taking that, hopefully, to a logical conclusion here. And I would love for the board to be able to consider it and help us out. Because right now, when we bring those teams in the spring, in the midsummer, one of us stays overnight in order to be able to satisfy the rule that's sitting there. And so we'd love for that to happen.
What was your last name again?
Kallman, Kallman. Thanks, appreciate it. Thank you.
Thank you for this.
And Kelly is the liaison.
I just learned that today. That's why he got most of the recording.
I appreciated that direction, thank you. How about you two? Anything?
Just Merry
Just
Christmas.
we are enjoying the quietness up here.
Okay,
We love it.
It's a beautiful day, that's for sure.
all right. So the next item of business is adjournment, and I will entertain a motion.
Support, Savannah.
No,
Oh, I give you a motion.
you can make the
Yeah, I'll
motion.
make the motion.
Johnson second.
There will be no question.
Russian.
All those in favor of the motion, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Thank you for being here.
Thanks for working, board.
Thank you.
Appreciate it.